This is one of the animes that I cannot stand. And I wanted to review it because it's been on my list for a long time. But before we begin, if you'd like to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, as well as that cheeky notification bell to be notified when more videos drop, let's talk about Digimon Frontier. Oh boy. This anime is brought to you, distributed and stuff like that by Manga Entertainment, which now is Funimation UK, but the time that I wrote this, I wrote Manga UK. When I first saw this anime, it was back when Digimon Tamers had, I think, just finished. And it was playing on CITV. So this is before like DVD and stuff like this, or just around about DVD anyway. And I remember seeing this and being really excited because it looked cool. You had the main character running for a train. You had this train that looked really cool. And the characters transferred into their Digimon states. And I was like, oh my god, this is absolutely amazing. But it was such a letdown. Now, for this entire series, I thought it was a filler anime. I didn't feel like a lot went on. And as I watched pretty much most of the first disc, I got bored because I felt like there was no progression of story. It was just the characters do something, they may or may not get a power, you have like this weird thing going on, and it evolves around the train station. So as much as I would say like this is something that I would have enjoyed, I didn't. I love Digimon, believe me, don't get me wrong, Tamers is one of my favorite seasons, but this one I couldn't get into it. I felt like it was just filler and that there was nothing to the storyline whatsoever, which I feel is quite bad. I feel like this series, you don't hear at all. You do not hear anything about Digimon Frontier. It feels like it's been forgotten, like thrown away to the hands of time, where no one brings this up. It's either Matt, Ty, or Davis and TK and Kari, but you never see anything about Frontier at all. And I feel like that is a really kind of big shame, because I do feel like they wanted to try something different in this anime. Rather than have Digimon with them, the kids, the Digidestined in this, they become the Digimon and they have powers and they're kind of cool and all that. And that's fine. I think that they wanted to try it, but they steered away from the formula. You'd still see Digimon about, but it just felt like this was a bit, to me. The main story part of this is that these kids board this train. They are given Digivices and they've got to save the digital world, and they're able to turn into Digimon. It's a great concept, as I've just said. It was something new, and I feel like they were trying to think outside the box, which was great, but to me it just felt I feel like as soon as they get the powers, because I've said this is just pretty much a filler anime, is that you could watch a few episodes, get the gist of what's going on, and then skip to the very end to kind of watch the final battle to see what's going on, how they've kind of survived, and like kind of move on from that. It's kind of weird because I wrote this like a long time ago, so while reading it, it's just something like I mentioned about like there's very little cliffhangers. Like it doesn't really matter because you know exactly how it's going to progress. I think that if you were watching this weekly as it first came out, then it may have been something slightly different, but for how many episodes there are in this, I feel like if you watch this at the very beginning, you pretty much were wasting your time. It's really weird. I don't want to bash on it too much. Like I generally wanted the series to be really great, but I just feel like it wasn't. In the past, when I've watched Digimon Try or Digimon Adventure, again, writing this a long time ago, but when watching these old Digimons in like Digimon series, but as like updated and new, I was getting memories, I was getting flashbacks. When watching Frontier, I never had anything like that. Like I could go back, like if I think about it now, because it has been some time since I've actually watched it, I can see them climbing a mountain and then getting attacked, then trying to help some restaurant or something, and that's it. That's all I can really remember. Sometimes like the little brother who would turn into this like a panda, like snowman panda, and then he wanted his brother's like approval or something. We wanted one of the characters' approval, but never really got it, because again, you had the lone wolf, like, I'll do what I want, I'm powerful enough, that would get probably whipped later. But I don't really like it. Like if I had a conversation about Digimon now with my friends, Frontier would never come up, and I think that's a shame because, again, I think it had a lot of promise back then. Now it doesn't. Again, if you look at any Digimon series that has been brought back, what about Frontier? Has anyone talked about it? If some people have talked about it, let me know down below in the comments. I wrote down that there are moments in other series that you go, oh my god, what happened next? With this one, it's just more like, oh, I just want to skip it. I want to see what the next part is. I don't care about the rest. As I've mentioned, I feel like this series could have been amazing. It had so much potential and they wanted to try something different, but I feel like it was poorly executed. It wasn't brought into the light, and I don't know if it was because people got bored of Digimon at the time, or the creators didn't know what they were doing. Like, they ran out of ideas. There's only so many times that you can produce the same sort of thing over and over and over again. It's more about character development. I think when you came to the end of Tamers, it was more like, how do we move on? And now it's more like, oh, we can now go back to previous episodes and, you know, previous seasons and redo it and say, hey, we're now gonna bring this up to scratch. You know, we're gonna add more to it, especially now since we've got, which I've not seen just yet, where you've got the Digi lesson, the first season, being redone or reimaginated and stuff. But you had like Try, where you had more stories where you could connect to the characters. I would have loved to have seen Digimon Frontier do the exact same thing, progress. Maybe they could come back to it. Maybe they could redo the entire thing again and actually make it better. And when looking at this, the element of them fusing with their armor, with their Digimon and stuff like that, or basically the armor, because again, they don't have Digimon, which is a bit kind of weird. So when they fuse with the armor, with their powers and stuff, as a kid, I thought this was cool. I genuinely do, and I still think it's a cool like gimmick. Like, you know, it's a point where you would love to see it. I just feel like, again, it wasn't done properly. And again, I probably would have loved to have seen. DNA Digivolve was Ken and stuff like that. So I would have loved to have seen like a proper Digimon fusion where maybe they have the Digimon on their devices so you don't have to show it all the time, and that's when they went Digifusion and they combined rather than DNA evolution. Now, I did watch a fair few episodes of this. I did try to give it a chance, but it lost me to the point where I didn't want to watch. After the first disc, I just gave up. I didn't want to watch any more. And for an anime, you know, I'd normally see it to the very end, even if I hate it. But there were points where I just had to turn this off. I couldn't watch it in the background. If I put it on in the background, then it would be very low, and I occasionally glance if I was working, but I can't do it. I physically couldn't sit through all of this just to give like some points and be like, oh, hey, look at this. This is really cool. I wouldn't like this. To me, I just felt like this was an entire filler anime. It wasn't, to me, a very good one, and it lost my interest very quickly, to the point where I watched where they're mainly at the train station, where like the whole world kind of like breaks apart. The only good thing is I skipped to the very end because I wanted to see how it concluded, and from what I remember, it wasn't very good either. It just felt like when you had the main character trying to get through the train station to get back to the real world, I just thought, oh, that's how it ends. There wasn't a big, oh my god moment that made me go back maybe a disc or two to start watching, to get the story that I kind of wanted. Now, would I skip this anime? Yes, I would. I would completely skip it. I would watch some of the other Digimon stuff. The original Digimon, Digimon Adventures, Digimon Try, Digimon Tamers. Tamers I would highly recommend. I absolutely love Tamers. It was my favorite one, and I can't wait to review that very shortly. Or when I can. But I loved Tamers to bits. It was a great series. I mentioned that I couldn't watch this in the background, but if I did, and I would call this a background anime, then I would turn it down low, leave it on in the background, and occasionally glance. When an anime is that bad and you've got tons of episodes on it, you know, like you 100% know that it's not good and it's not worthy of recommendation. Now, if you are a true fan of Digimon and you want to collect all of these on DVD and stuff like that, then wholeheartedly grab it. Put it on your DVD collection so you've got everything. But if it were me, I would probably spend my money on something else. As much as I don't want to ruin it, I just don't want you to waste your money on this. So yeah, I'm going to leave it there. Digimon Frontier is definitely not worth it. And yeah, I'm going to leave it there. What are your thoughts on this? Do you love Digimon Frontier? Did you enjoy it? Let me know down below in the comments. If you like this sort of content and you want to see more, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, as well as that cheeky notification bell to be notified when more videos drop. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.
チャンネルをサポートしてくれてありがとうございます。チャンネル登録、高評価お願いします。